Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe's Classic Video Games back with another cool pinball repair video for you today. I don't have to describe what this one is, but this is obviously a Williams high-speed pinball machine. We bought this years ago off of a local operator, and at the time we had a high-speed in already, and we've worked on some other stuff before that, and since then, but we finally brought it in and we're going to set it up and fix it and film it. So I guess we should call it recording anymore, right? Because we don't really use film. We're going to record it. We're going to record us repairing it. So I figured I would shoot the intro video while the thing was still folded up. All right. As I remember, this thing is in pretty decent shape. So there may not be too much to do to it except, working through the board set. And of course, we'll have to shop out the playfield and all that. But the cabinet looks pretty good already, but we'll see. So we're working on some legs. We're going to clean it up a little bit, put the legs on it. Whenever we set it up, I'll film the next part of the video so you can see what kind of condition it's in as we start. But this is how it looked as it rolled in the door. So we put it together. We got some nice looking legs on it. Got it up doing its thing. Took the glass off. So this is what we're starting with. It's got some, I think they call that planking, those lines in it, but I think that'll clean up pretty good and we'll wax it, but we'll see. Might need to repaint some of it, but we'll see if we can clean it up and get it looking good. And then we've got some fairly bad wear right there that we'll probably have to touch up. But other than that, everything looks pretty good. So we got the wear there, and then we've got from a distance that looks pretty good, and it's filthy. So once I clean it and get it all waxed up, that should look decent. So let's look underneath it. There was all kinds of stuff down in the bottom of it, and of course we had turned it up on its end, so it was all down in the bottom back of it. But everything looks pretty good. It looks complete. I don't see anything missing. Lots of lights. The ejector or whatever. The flippers look, pretty much original. Nothing looks tampered with or hacked. So one thing that we noticed while it was sitting up was that there was no, by the way, we had the sign for it. That goes like that. We just took it off when we were moving it. The little beacon's not in there. Gotta have the beacon, right? But it was down inside of it. So this spins around and makes the light do its thing. There's a bunch of resistance there, so maybe that gear is messed up or the motor's messed up. And then there were a whole ton of rubber rings down in it. Look at all this. And what sucks is these are probably new old stock. And they're probably ABC, which is the good ones. Let's see. I can't tell. But these old ones, they feel different than the new ones. They're different. The rubber was made a little different. They're even a different size. Like now they measure the outside diameter, I think, and then before they measured the inside diameter. So it's they're different sizes and stuff, but once they get this old, you can't really use them anymore. They've yellowed and all that, but that's a shame. And then there's also a bag full of a bunch of flipper rings, which all appear to be used, or most of them. There's a little paper here telling you how to do some of the setup stuff. There's a few playfield parts, like the little stoplight thing that clips on there. And then I'll cover the gentleman's phone number. This was at one point in the Playtime game room, Fun and Games. Mr. Ray was the owner. Had a cool little logo. And it was at 105 Bethel Street in Clover, South Carolina. The operator that we got this from was in Clover as well. This is the Google Street View. This is 105 here, and this is 103 here. This is actually, it says kerosene bar, so I'm wondering if at one point this wasn't all one thing or something. Interesting, very interesting. I looked up the owner information, and it's not, that guy never owned it, so he was just the manager of the bar, or the owner of the bar, but he was renting. And this is a picture from 2012, which was the oldest one I could find. So, I don't know, kind of almost looks like this has been, the whole thing actually looks like it's kind of been redone to me, so I'll bet it didn't look anything like this back in the day. So it could be that this was all one place. But this is on a little side street in Clover right off of the main street. Out of order, the poor thing had broke at some point. And that's about all that's in there. Okay, so let's look in the back box now. So you've got the display board. You got the 5 displays. Who knows what works and what doesn't. We'll figure it out. We might have to buy new ones. Got the original capacitor. Everything looks original. There's the flipper board. There's the original power supply, which doesn't look too burnt up. This gets, the general illumination gets burnt up a lot. Looks pretty good. Up here would be where the beacon goes. Probably plugs into that. There's the soundboard. Looks good. And then here's the main board, and there is some corrosion on the battery holder. So we'll have to work on that. But it's all complete. So that's what we're starting with. So since everything looked pretty good, went ahead and plugged it up. Coin door's locked. Got the door open. So let's see if we can adjust anything. All right, here we go. It's trying to cooperate. It's trying to do its thing. Look, even that display that's hanging works. Holy moly. Holy moly, we got one that's going to try to work with us. This was designed by Steve Ritchie, who's, you know, arguably the best. It's looking for the ball. Let's see if I got, there's one, but I think it needs 3, but maybe it'll work with 1. Nope, once more. Let's see if I can find some more. Nope, yep, here they are. If I can hit anything. All right. All right, so we got a playing game here. So we're starting with a working game, so hopefully we won't break it. But first thing I'm gonna do is the play field. So we're gonna turn it off I'm going to start taking everything off the playfield. I don't want to mess with it a bunch with an old screwed up ball and grease, dirt all over the playfield. It'll make it even worse. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to start taking everything off the playfield, and then I'll carefully lay it on top of this other pinball machine here beside it, kind of where it goes, just so I can kind of remember how to put it back together. So we've got everything pretty much off of it, so we can get down to cleaning it. It's looking pretty good. Very old and worn. Definitely got a lot of little minor issues, but nothing major. This ramp in the back is a pain to get out. They actually, see this little slot? The wires come up through that slot, but the connector on the back is too big. So see this slot? Wires come up through that slot, but the connector slides right through it. This one's a little bit thinner, so you can't get the connector through it, so you can't take the ramp off. So what you have to do is loosen this back board a little bit. See how it's moving? There's some screws on the back. If you can get to those, you can move it out just enough where that connector will come out. Or you could cut the wires, but don't cut the wires, people. It's a bad idea to cut the wires. And then over on this side, they had these 3 wires that at the factory they had installed right through the plastic, through that hole. So I'm going to take I cut it. I'm going to take I'm going to clean that up a little bit to make a little groove there so you can hook that around the wires. And the reason that they did that is because in the factory they ran it through and just left the wires hanging here, and then somebody went around and put this light bulb on and they soldered it onto the socket, but that makes it where you can't take it back apart. But no big deal, no big problem. So if we're just looking at everything, all this will clean up nicely. This is decent. There's not Mylar on this, but this is decent. There is one right here that's raised a little bit, right there on the edge. I don't know if I can get that back down in there easily. I might be able to with a heat gun. I'll do a little research on that to see if we can fix that. If not, we'll leave it, but if we can make that a little better, get it sunk a little bit, we'll do that. Okay, the wear's not that bad all through here, just needs a lot of cleaning and a lot of waxing. I think the magic eraser will get this looking a lot better, but you don't want to go too crazy because you're already starting to lose a little bit of paint. You don't want to lose a ton of it, but you want to get that black off of there. Okay, these inserts are good. All this looks good. If you let the light hit it, you can see that, see how the entire playfield has little cracks on it? See that? Even in the spots like that area right there, the ball has never touched. It's just all cracked. I don't know if they call that, I hear so many different terms for it, I never understand the difference, but I've heard people call that alligatoring. I've heard people call that planking. I don't know if I may have the terms wrong, but you got a lot of that going on. If you've watched my videos, you know me. That doesn't bother me at all. This game is in fantastic shape, in my opinion, for a 85, 86. This is a little heavy. We're going to fix that, but stuff like that, doesn't bother me at all. It's just a little bit of love wear. Love wear, people. I don't know if I've got a game that, sometimes you'll get a game where, see how this has where the flipper button is, there's a metal thing, so it protects the paint. Sometimes you'll get a game where it's got the flipper is just right on the paint, and the paint will be worn away. Doesn't bother me at all, because the only way to do that is for 10,000 people to press that button. You know? So I think it adds to the game, but I understand that a lot of people don't feel that way. Oh, another interesting thing I was going to show you. Let me find it. Okay, so there's 2 ramps that kick up on the side. And this little clip holds the ramp in place. You can see the dust from it where it was right there. So there's one there. And then there's also one there. Right? So they were both in place, and I removed both of them. And just to check, I looked, and I have both of mine. But inside the game, if you look real close, there is another one stuck behind that ramp along with a rubber ring. That wasn't me, I didn't do that. So somebody lost that clip and went, and then somehow they found another one. So they found a replacement one instead of digging that one out. I don't get it. Whatever. They were probably trying to just pull the plastic up a little bit because all this stuff's in there pretty tight. But somebody the other day was saying, man, I wish you'd film more of you actually doing the work. The reason I don't do that is because there's like it took me about an hour to take all this stuff off. And my problem already is the videos are way too long. I mean, I'm getting like hour-long videos to just do the top of the playfield. My average watch time on a video is like 10 minutes. Nobody's watching these things for an hour. Now, I know some of you are, and I appreciate that, but I'm just saying the vast majority of people, they just don't have the time to watch every little part of it. So I could film, you know, me taking a screw out, but that's not really going to help anybody. So I just take it all apart and then tell you if I ran into anything interesting, like that wire and that little clip. It's kind of interesting. There is another little thing of wear up here, right there. I don't even think you can see it though, but we're definitely going to touch this part up, so we'll see if we can get that better. It's actually divoted a little bit too, so I'd like to put some filler in there, but man, I don't want to get into a bunch of stuff here. I don't want to go crazy on it. Now, if you're doing this at home, you might want to go crazy on it. You know, you might want to get yours at the absolute best you can get it. I can completely understand that. But we sell ours, so we have to watch how much time we put into them. We can put time into them, but you know, if we take this thing and try to make everything perfect, it gets to the point where we can't sell it for any more than what we're already selling it for, and so it's just not worth expending the time whenever we've got, literally, are you ready for this? Over 200 broken machines that we could be working on besides this one. This is just the next one. So we're going to give this thing the attention it deserves, but not all of the attention that's possible. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to fix this up, going to get it looking good. We're going to clean the crap out of this thing, get it as nice as possible. It's not going to look brand new, but it's going to look nice and good and playable and bright and fun, and we're going to play the hell out of it whenever we're done with it. Anything else that was specific to this? I don't believe there was anything else too strange. It's a little complicated up here the way the stuff fits in, but basically all you do is you take the stuff off on top and just keep working your way down, and you'll, if you see anything that nothing's over it, take it off. And usually that will reveal another screw that you can take apart, and take that screw apart, and then maybe you can move something else. All of the plastics, there wasn't a one of them that even had a chip on it. That's hard to believe, isn't it? I don't know if they're original or not. Oh, another thing I wanted to show you. I was impressed with this. Most of you won't care about this, but I was impressed with it. So here's the spinner unit, and look how thick they made the bracket that holds it. The problem with these a lot of times is these get all bent up, and you can literally just bend them with your hand. They're real thin, but not this one. For whatever reason, they made these thick, big, nice ones. So they must have at some point redesigned them. So I wonder if Williams had already done that, or if that was one of Steve Ritchie's insistences. If anybody sees them, ask them something trivial like that. And I think somebody may have put new stickers on these. I don't know if these were the originals, and so they just kept it protected all this time. You can see the back is beat up, but the front looks good. So it could be that somebody's replaced that sticker, or it could be that the fronts all had a sticker and it isn't beat up because the sticker's been on there all these years. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do, I'm going to start cleaning it. So I'm going to clean. Now when I do that, some of this playfield is going to get a little bit worse. So that might actually it'll get cleaner, but it may get a little bit worse. We may lose a little bit more paint, probably particularly in that area. But hopefully it won't be too bad. And I'm going to go slow and try to make sure I don't ruin it. Well, I won't ruin it because I'll paint it back if I get too much of it gone, but I'm basically trying to keep it to where I don't have to put any paint here because you'd see it. I'm definitely putting paint here, and I might do that too while I'm at it, just for giggles. But everything else is in pretty decent shape. You got a little bit of stuff like this where there's a little bit of paint chipped away underneath or at the edge of a, there was one where it was right at the edge. I don't see it now. But stuff like that, whenever it's just minor, I just leave it. No big deal. So we'll clean, and see what we come up with. Isn't that kind of annoying that that one green light bulb's out? I haven't replaced the light bulbs yet. Okay, so I put a little bit of Bondo on it just because there was a huge divot there. It's not perfect, but it, you know, it's going to fill that in a little bit so it looks a little better. And I put wax on the bottom half of the playfield. I just felt like doing it. But now we're to the point where we've got to touch this up a little bit. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go and I'm going to draw back in some of the lines, some of the black that's missing. Because the reason I do that is because it helps me kind of define what areas are which colors, and it makes it a little easier to put the stuff back in. So hopefully my hand won't cover too much of this, but let's see. I was going to say this one is maybe like that one, but it's not. It's different. See how the so they're stoplights, but they're kind of old-timey ones. So this one, it's pretty much like that one. The difference is between this one is that there's a hood above the light like it is on a real stoplight, traffic light. So there's a hood above it. So on this one, since it's sideways, the hoods are above each one. So you can't just make it look exactly like that, but I guess it's similar. So, you know, basically the problem is that some of the artwork's missing, so you got to try to figure out how it's supposed to look. So people have been saying, I wish you would film more of you doing the actual work. You know, it'd be more interesting, one guy said, it'd be more interesting if it showed you doing the actual work. Well, the work is hours and hours of stupid crap like this, you know. Where you draw a little line and then, oh, that's not quite right, so you redo it, or you put a little bit of paint here, a little bit of paint here, and it looks like crap, so you do it this way instead. So what I usually do is I just show you kind of how it ends up. So if you do the lines first, you can kind of see what you need. After I get this where it looks pretty good with the colors, I'll go back and redo the black back over it. So I'm basically just doing this. I'm basically just doing this so that I know where the colors start and stop. We're creating a coloring book with lots of happy little trees. Happy little stoplights. So this is what the touch-up ended up like. I'm gonna shoot it from way back here so you can't ridicule my touch-up skills. Oh, by the way, so I need to talk about the noises my camera makes. I've had a bunch of people tell me that I smack my teeth while I suck my teeth while I'm talking. I don't do that. It's the camera, people. It's the autofocus on the camera. I'm not sucking my teeth. Have you ever heard it? I hear what you're saying that it does, but it does that whenever I'm talking sometimes. I can't suck my teeth and talk at the same time. I'll be real quiet and we'll see if it does it. You can hear the clicking noises. It'll prove that it's the camera. And then the other one is whenever you zoom in, it makes a noise. So we'll zoom in on my art up there a little bit. Okay, that's close enough. See, it's not perfect, but it looks a lot better. It's passable, right? So I subscribe to the theory that most people, most collectors, they wouldn't have touched that up. They would have said, "Oh, this thing's pretty junky. Let's get rid of the playfield, or let's put a new playfield in it, or whatever." Or they would have parted this thing. And I know that sounds extreme. It's true. It is true. Look around. A lot of people would have parted a machine like this. I left the wear here on the in the middle because to me, it's borderline, but it's not bad enough that I think it needs to be. You know, if you touch it up, unless you're really good, you're going to be able to see everywhere that it's been touched up. So there's a little wear there. But what we're going to do is wax the heck out of it, which we already have, but we're going to keep it highly waxed. And all that wax is going to keep it from getting worse, or at least keep it from getting too much worse. So there's my touch up. I think it looks pretty good, especially from back here. Now, if we get up there real close to it, it's got some issues, people. It's not perfect, but we got it together. We got it together. So it took a while, but we got it all back together. It's all doing its thing. I think everything's where it's supposed to be. Look at that. My little plastic thing fell off. I might have to mess with that a little bit. But we're looking pretty good. Now, this video is long enough. So we're going to do a separate video where we do all the electronic stuff. So you're going to have to wait for that video to see important things like, do I fix that third player display that's been hanging the entire time before it breaks? That might happen. It might not. Do I replace those two burnt out green stoplights that have been annoying the entire time? That might happen. It might not. But I'm sure it will. So, hope you enjoyed it. We got the playfield looking pretty good, I think. I think my art came out pretty decent. What do you think? With all of the accoutrements on it, it looks pretty good now, doesn't it? Huh? So, we'll leave it at that. Give us a thumbs up for taking the trouble to film it all. And leave your comments below. And we will see you on the next video, where we will get this baby purring and doing its thing. High speed. All right. So we're here with my buddy Matt. He stopped by. Matt, have I told you what we're going to do?
No.
Okay. This pinball machine is in pretty nice shape, right? It's not perfect, but
Looks like a work in progress.
okay. There is a spot somewhere on this playfield the size of a nickel that I repainted completely. Can you tell where?
Size of a nickel, you say?
Mm-hmm. Somebody's trying to call to give us the answer.
Let's see. I give up.
You can't tell? Everybody in the video that I'm going to put on YouTube saw me do it. I mean,
Well, yeah, but I didn't watch it.
you can't tell where it is. I mean, it's
I'm sure.
1, 2, 3. It's 4 different colors. You can't tell.
Is it one of the police cars?
One of the police cars, like where?
Like one of these police cars?
No,
Okay, then yeah, I don't know.
you can't tell at all.
I'm sure it'd be obvious once I lay my eyes on it, but
So is it down here somewhere, maybe?
I was thinking it was up there.
Up here? Where do you think?
Well, I thought those police cars.
Okay. Okay, so come over here where the light hits it.
All right. Let's see. Oh yeah, I get the reflection now. Let's see.
You can't see it?
I miss it still. Yeah. It's on the field. It's not on.
It's on the actual
It's
wood.
not on top
Yep.
of it. Okay. I mean, only thing I see is bubbling up around the plastic, but that's probably not it.
It's like that area right there.
Okay.
Can you tell now?
Yeah, now I can see it.
And there you go, folks.
Right there.
There you go. Any questions?